Clear thinking sounds simple, but most people never train their minds. Many people accept ideas without really checking them. You often hear something, feel that it makes sense, and then store it as truth in your mind. The first step to avoiding false understanding is to become aware of how your mind works. You begin to notice your mental habits. You see how quickly your thoughts jump to conclusions. You see how fast you say you understand, even when you have not tested the idea. When you slow down and watch your thoughts, you create a space before you accept anything. In that space, you can pause, reflect, and check. False understanding begins when you accept thoughts without checking them. The mind loves what feels familiar. When an idea sounds like something you have heard many times, it feels safe and true. This feeling of comfort is one of the main ways the mind tricks itself. You may hear a phrase or theory again and again. Because it repeats, your brain treats it as correct, even if it has never been tested. The brain uses shortcuts. It trusts patterns more than proof. You think that hearing something many times makes it true, but this is not real understanding. Real understanding comes from checking. You step back from the familiar idea and ask what evidence supports it. You compare what people say with what actually happens in the world. When you do this, some familiar ideas stay and some fall apart. Comfort does not prove truth. Ideas must be tested against reality. Words alone are never enough. A claim is only as strong as the evidence that supports it. You avoid false understanding when you stop trusting statements by themselves and start comparing them with facts. You ask what can be seen, measured, or repeated. If someone says something works, you look for real results. If a theory explains something, you look for tests that show it matches the world. If an experiment gives the same result again and again, the idea gains strength. When an idea does not match the facts, you change it or drop it. You value what is real over what is simply said. Evidence protects your mind from false understanding. Complex ideas can create fake understanding. When something sounds complicated, you may nod along while quietly feeling lost. The mind sometimes pretends to understand just to avoid discomfort. You can break concepts into small, simple pieces and check each one. When you face a difficult idea, you do not try to hold the whole thing in your mind at once. You pick one small part and describe it in plain language. You ask what it means, what it depends on, and what follows from it. Only when that piece is clear do you move to the next. This turns one heavy block into many light pieces. As more pieces become clear, the idea becomes something you truly grasp. Small parts lead to real understanding, not vague impressions. If you cannot explain an idea in simple language, you do not really understand it. Plain language forces clarity. It does not allow you to hide behind technical terms. You take an idea and explain it as if you were talking to a beginner. You avoid vague expressions and say what the thing is, what it does, and how it works. As you do this, you find parts you cannot explain clearly. Those unclear parts show you where your understanding is weak. You can then study that part and clean it up in your mind. Each time you do this, your thinking becomes sharper and more honest. Plain language exposes weak understanding. The mind protects the ideas you like. When a belief fits your past views or supports your identity, you feel good about it. This is where self-deception starts. You become less critical of ideas that please you. To avoid false understanding, you must give extra testing to the ideas you like. When a thought feels right, you slow down. You look for evidence that might show it is wrong. You ask how it could fail and what facts would break it. This does not mean you attack yourself. It means you respect truth more than comfort. Ideas that survive this testing become stronger. Ideas that fail leave your mind cleaner and more honest. You protect truth when you test ideas you like. Many people feel uncomfortable when they do not have an answer. They rush to fill the gap with guesses or simple phrases. Not knowing yet can be an honest and strong position. Real knowledge often begins with admitting ignorance. When you do not understand something, you say so plainly. You do not pretend. You do not grab the first explanation just to feel safe. You leave the space open and wait for real evidence and reasoning. This keeps your standards high. It stops you from building your thinking on weak guesses. Over time, I do not know yet becomes a calm starting point. Accepting uncertainty prevents false clarity. Measurement protects against self-deception. When an idea cannot be measured, it is easy to twist it to fit any story. Ideas that can be checked with numbers or clear counts bring thinking back to solid ground. You turn vague claims into something that can be measured. This method works better becomes this method works better by this amount in this situation. The moment you measure, you have something real to compare. Measurement reveals limits. You see where an effect is strong, weak, or absent. Opinion turns into data. Guessing turns into checking. You may discover that some claims you believed are not supported by the numbers. That discovery improves your understanding. Measurement replaces guesses with tested conclusions. Understanding is a chain of steps. It grows slowly and carefully. You start with something you know for sure and state it in simple words. Then you add one new point that follows from it. You check that link. If it holds, you keep it. If it does not, you repair it before moving on. As you repeat this, you create a structure of reasoning. Each step supports the next. When something feels uncertain, you can go back and find the exact step where the problem appears. Real understanding grows through step-by-step reasoning. A mind that cannot admit mistakes cannot grow. Correction is a sign of strength, not weakness. The danger is not being wrong once. The danger is holding on to error to protect your ego. When you see an error in your thinking and decide to fix it, you do not hide it or make excuses. You simply update your view based on better information. You tell yourself that you now know more than before. This habit builds trust in your own mind. You no longer need to believe you were always right. You only need to believe you are willing to become more right. Honest correction protects you from false certainty. Clear thinking becomes real only when it turns into habit. It is not reserved for special problems. You can build the habit by choosing small moments to practice. You check a claim before you repeat it. You break tasks into simple parts. You explain new ideas in plain language. You notice when you feel too sure and ask what evidence supports that feeling. Each repetition shapes your brain. Over time, your mind learns to pause, test, and clarify without effort. Under pressure, you will not fall only into emotion or habit. Habit turns clear thinking into a reliable skill. When you follow these steps, you are shaping the way your mind works. A mind trained in this way can face complex ideas without fear because it has a process to find what is real and what is false. You begin by noticing your mental habits and doubting comfort and familiarity. You test claims against evidence and break complex ideas into small pieces. You use plain language to check your own understanding. You test ideas you like. You accept not knowing yet. You measure before you conclude. You build reasoning step by step. You correct yourself with honesty. You practice every day. The result is a quiet form of confidence. You do not need to pretend you know everything. You know how to find out what is true and what is not. Real understanding is built through testing, clarity, and honest correction.